David Teal, do you want to give us a quick intro and talk about the upcoming season, David?
Yes, thank you for having me on this call today, and Sean and Cindy from AXS TV, thanks for all your logistics. I don't know how you do it. I've got enough problems figuring out how to put a call on hold and answer another one. That said, all of you, thank you for participating and being engaged in WOW Women of Wrestling. We're excited to launch on Saturday night as part of AXS TV's Saturday Slam competition and broadcast the second season on AXS TV of WOW Women of Wrestling. The debut will happen at 8 o'clock East Coast time on AXS TV. It's a dynamic hour of power, I call it. WOW, and it's WOW Superheroes. And it'll all take place from Los Angeles at the Belasco Theater. These events will play through, I think, the first weekend of December. I don't have each of the dates, but consecutively. And then a second set of these season programs will commence thereafter, I believe, in January. We'll take a break for the holidays. So, as many of you know, last year we welcomed Tessa Blanchard, easily the best in the industry, to WOW Women of Wrestling. And this year we're very excited and thrilled to welcome Teal Piper to WOW Women of Wrestling. And Teal is on the call today, and we couldn't be more happy with her involvement in our company. And I'll let her take it from there.
Thank you, David. Hi, everyone.
Okay. I can ask a question, Sean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we have a few questions we've queued up as we figure out the logistics here. Teal, the first question for you comes from Mike Hughes with TV America, and he says that you seem to be performing and finding the spotlight quite easily, and so he'd like to know a little bit more about how far back you go as a performer and what you wanted to do when you were growing up.
Wow. So my whole life, I've always wanted to perform, and I think obviously my father was a big part of that. I really admired how international he was. You know, you could name a town in any city or any country in the world, and he would know like where to go to get good food there, and like have attended a party there, and all. You know, he just like knew somebody everywhere, and I just thought that was so interesting, and you know, that whole lifestyle I thought was really exciting. So of course the first thing I do is I moved to LA to become an actress and realized that you can't leave LA ever. So it kind of backfired in that sense. But so I don't remember a time where I didn't like look up to that, and you know, and just watching him perform. And you know, he was also a great actor and a great musician. A lot of people don't know that about him. So I had a lot of that influence from an early age. It was that, or I also wanted to be Indiana Jones, but I guess I went the other way.
Great. And a follow-up question is he'd like to hear what you thought of women in wrestling when you were growing up. He says that you've told the story about making a comment about one of them to your dad and him getting mad and breaking a table. I think that was in a recent interview you did. And so we'd like to hear more about that, maybe how old you were at the time and what you think of women's wrestling in retrospect.
Well, back then I was probably, I'm going to guess around 15 years old when that happened, and I just remember it as one of those defining, because I was a pretty good child. You know, my parents loved me. I was pretty easy. So it was one of those rare moments where my dad like got mad at me, and so it really like stuck out at me. But you know, it was a time in wrestling where women were really accessories to the men, and you know, they had them looking more like porn stars than, you know, like legitimate, respectable athletes. And so, and I was at an age where, you know, I was very rebellious and just kind of being a little bit of more feministic about everything. And so I had made a snotty comment. I can't even remember what the comment was, but just sort of like an eye roll towards the women in wrestling at the time. And he got furious at me, and he slammed his hands down on the table and broke it, and just was going off about how hard those women work and how they have to be twice as talented as any guy in wrestling and have twice as hard, and they get paid so little, you know. And it was just like, at the time, it was a little scary. I was like shutting up, but it was very, it was definitely a foot in the mouth moment for me where I didn't realize what the women had gone through, and that's kind of when it like opened my eyes. And in more recent years, it's just grown such a wonderful way. And the more I see women in wrestling developing and becoming such main event stars, competing right up there with the boys, the more I wanted to be involved with it. So, I mean, this whole movement has really been a big part of why I felt like this is the time in my life to join.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, our next question also about your father here comes from Jonathan Snowden with Bleacher Report. And he says you had a chance when working on the book to really dig deep into your dad's career. Was there any hesitation about joining the wrestling business after that?
Oh, I mean, I think I had hesitation long before the book. In a weird way, I felt more inspired connecting with his life in that way. I mean, there was a lot that I learned about him, and, I met people that I had always heard about that I had never physically met or talked to on the phone or anything. So it was very, in a weird way, spiritual for me, I guess I should say. And so, if anything, I think that book made me more inspired because I knew a lot of the bad stuff of wrestling. Growing up with a heel as a dad, especially in the 80s, I wasn't blind to the fact that his fans tried to kill him. I mean, even my own brother got stabbed in the back by a fan not that long ago, and that's recent. And so when I look at that, I was aware of the dirtier side of wrestling, and my dad was just always on guard. And so I think the book really made me see his love for the sport that he had at an early age that I wasn't around for, and how much passion he had. And that, I think, more than anything, inspired me to go forward into wrestling rather than make me afraid to enter it.
We know there's been some difficulty. So, Sean, are we going to open up the mics and they can ask questions? We'll just call the person?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Should we go
here.
Darren first?
Yes.
Okay, Darren, you should be able, is he able?
All right, Darren, can you hear us okay?
I can hear okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay, so Teal, prior to announcing your entry into the wrestling world, you were a rising singer-songwriter. So do you still plan on pursuing that path?
Yes, actually, I have my next single being released October 1st called Anonymity. Amber Rise is on iTunes now, and I think, again, that's something I get from my family. I'm very creative, and I don't like to limit myself to one thing in life. I definitely plan on continuing down that path, but right now wrestling is coming first and foremost. I think it's something that I just need to be focused on and need to be doing. But, I pretty much do everything I want to do when I want to do it.
And then also in terms of the family legacy, a lot of people have referred to MJF as the next Roddy Piper. Is that something that you like to hear?
Who are these people? I want names. How dare they? No, MJF I think he's a very talented, awesome wrestler. I love to watch him, but there's never going to be another Rowdy Roddy Piper, and I think it discredits my dad as well as him. I mean, he's very much his own character, and he has his own legend that he's building, and I've never been a fan of people being like, this person's the next this or that. It's like, give him the credit he deserves. But no, there's never going to be another Rowdy Roddy Piper, and that includes myself. He was one in a lifetime. I don't know how to explain that.
Cool. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, next up, we're going to unmic.
Let's go with Jim Barcelone with the Miami Herald. Jim, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
All right, great. A couple questions for Teal and then also David. Thank you all so much. Teal, what has Ronda Rousey meant to you and your family?
Ronda, for me personally, I wasn't a huge MMA fan until she came on the scene, and I just fell in love with her. And regardless of training with Judo Jean LaBelle, and coming from the same fighting family that my father came from, I just loved what she was doing for MMA. So I was already on her team when she came into the light, and I was actually in the room when she was talking to my dad and about using the name Rowdy and back for MMA years ago. So as far as knowing her personally, I only met her for the first time at WrestleMania this year. But I've really been honored that she has wanted to pay such a tribute to my dad, and I think it's really, really cool of her, and it is really neat to see the Rowdy name main eventing, but for the first time as women at WrestleMania last year. That was just really, really neat. But at the same time, I also feel like that's a big part of why I wanted to go with WOW, is they've had women doing that for years. You know, Women of Wrestling have been their main event for years, and so that's why I felt like I should go with that direction right now.
And Teal, have you trained with your brother in pro wrestling? And any thoughts, if you haven't, working with him someday?
Well, we don't live in the same state right now. We are constantly trying to get together to train. The last time I did see him, we had a few drinks with the family, and then he gave me some of the first chops I've ever had. It was before I started training with WOW, and let me tell you, that was an eye-opener, and he had no sympathy as my brother. He just let me have them. So he's giving me a lot of pointers over the phone, and, you know, every time we do see each other, you know, he mostly, like, gets in, like, the underground, like, old-school knowledge that he's, you know, like, I don't know if somebody's told you about this or that, because he's just been trained by so many cool people. I'd say one of my big dreams in wrestling at some point down the road would be to talk him into tag teaming with me and being a brother-sister tag team. Hopefully he gets back into it at some point. I'm not sure. I think he wants to, though. I think he's getting inspired by my new love for it.
And David, do we know when we will see Teal Piper on WOW on AXS TV? Because I know the new season's coming up.
Yes, you'll see her in episode 11 or 12 on this upcoming season, and then throughout the season that's being taped this fall for delivery in January.
And also, David, you all signed some new superheroes, including Teal, and one from South Florida, where I am in Miami, Adrenaline, Diamante, Angel Rose. What can you say about her?
Well, Adrenaline is a fabulous addition to WOW. She'll be featured this year. She's going for the Tag Team Championship. She'll be joining forces with a wrestler that performs with her real name, Kiera Hogan, in Impact. And for us, because when I met her, I said, "You're a Spitfire." And I laughed. I said, "Your name should be Fire." And so she is. She's Fire, Kiera Hogan. And they will be going up against several competitors in this year's tag team tournament within the WOW episodes. And I think when we talk about the first episode that airs on Saturday night, September 7th, 8 o'clock Eastern, because many of you participating in this call today are really, truly wrestling historians, and you know your wrestling knowledge, I think you're going to enjoy a segment that's in this opening program on AXS where we pay tribute to the women's tag team titles of the past. I mean, we literally go back to the 1950s with Mae Young and Ella, I hope I have the pronunciation, I think Ella Wildman. And we go through Tony Rose, Donna Cristiella, Joyce Grable, Vicki Williams, all the way up to the Jumping Bomb Angels. And I think for wrestling historians, it's great that we're able and afforded the opportunity through Pro Wrestling Illustrated and some others for licensing us footage to pay tribute to those ladies that paved the path for the success that women are achieving today in wrestling. And I think everyone would like that.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks, Jim. All right, our next question is going to come from Najir Chambers. Najir, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
All right. So my first question is for Teal. So you do have a busy couple of weeks coming up in your professional wrestling career, and one being your debut at WOW, which is going to be on September 18th. I guess a little soft opening question for you is, who do you have your eyes set on? Now, I did see the vignette package, which it seems kind of like you aiming for the champ right away, but I want to hear from you exactly. Who is it that you have your eyes set on?
You know, I got to say right now, I'm really having fun with the wrestling thing, and I just kind of want to get in there and just mess up some things for the girls, to be honest. I have my eyes set on so many people. There's some great girls there, like Steffi Plays and Faith the Lioness, who are just an awesome talent that I would love to work with, but also I'm not sure they're ready to deal with my personality in the ring. We shall see. I would love and also be terrified to have a match with the Beast. I think she is awesome and very epic, and if nothing else, I can unlock the cage she's in and just let her loose. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's like one of my goals down the road. We'll see how that goes. She's no joke in the ring. So,
and Teal, you mentioned when we were at AXS, which I love. You said you were going to be the thorn possibly in the lion's paw.
Yes, in typical Piper fashion.
Yes, and I don't think that the born legend Tessa Blanchard appreciated when you were patting her on her head and giving her some definitely rowdy comments. I don't think she'd ever been spoken to in that manner before. So I got to tell all of you on the phone, Teal has inherited her dad's wit and skill on a microphone, and she can tear up anyone very quickly. And I've seen it in action, and she is great. And so to all the talent in WOW, I'll put out the warning. They better watch out if Teal Piper wants to get rowdy with them.
Tessa, that cracked me up because I literally, when I was petting her on the head, was like, I'm surprised she hasn't tried to hit me yet.
I think she wants to, but she's waiting for the ring action to begin.
Clever girl.
So, you obviously you're training at WOW. How has the experience training with a legend in her own right, with Selina Majors?
Selena Majors is, she's a legend as far as women in wrestling go. She was back in the days where, right now everything's like set up for me to walk in as a female wrestler, and it's like a great time. But, she worked back in the days when it was like, you would fight tooth and nail to get as much recognition as the guys got. And so I have so much admiration for her. And she has just been incredible to train with. As, I don't know how to say. As soon as I started training with her, I knew I wanted to be a part of WOW. I appreciated the company and everything they did with women and stuff. But as soon as I got to that training center, I was like, I like it here. This is awesome. And it's just really neat. And I feel very honored, to be honest, to be able to train with her.
That's awesome. And I guess this question is going to be for the two of you guys. Now, David, it was a pleasure to speak with you at San Diego Comic-Con, and you did leave the interview giving me a bite saying that you had a really big surprise, and it legit gave me chills because knowing the mastermind you are, I knew it was going to be something big, and in fact, signing Teal Piper is indeed that. I want to know how the recruiting process was because you brought in some of the biggest and brightest stars into WOW, but Teal is absolutely on a whole nother level here. But I would like to know for the two of you guys, how was that recruiting process for you?
Well, it was fortunate and blessed in the fact that we share a friend of the industry in Barry Bloom, who's been an agent that's represented many talent throughout the last few years, including, he started in wrestling with Jesse Ventura, and he represented Triple H and X-Pac and many other stars throughout the industry. And he is a personal friend of Teal's dad and Teal, of course. And he called me up one afternoon and said, David, here's a unique situation. Teal's interested in getting into wrestling. We've discussed this, and I think it might be a great fit. And that was all it took, was a phone call. And I said, well, have Teal come down to the training center and meet Selina Majors and meet the WOW Superheroes and see if, in fact, there's a fit, if she likes how our company, the atmosphere and the camaraderie of WOW. And fortunately, it's all worked out to the best. So it was really not a recruitment. It was just a blessing that we both share a mutual friend.
Yeah, I basically just showed up to the WOW Training Center and refused to leave, and then eventually they started feeding me and housing me. and I've been there ever since.
Thank you so much.